Hi, welcome back to the Glory of God in Mathematics. So I wanted to kind of pick up. We've slowed down the channel for a little while just because I had busyness in my schedule and wanted to really rethink what is it that I want to do with this channel in space. So I wanted to give you just an update on what the focus is moving forward and how this might could help you as you're teaching your own children and students. So as we move forward, my goal and focus for this channel is to simply help other homeschooling moms see with real examples how it is they can teach these difficult subjects. We'll start with math, and then as we finish with topics, move on to other things like science. How can I teach these things from a biblical worldview? Now, I mentioned in my earlier video with all of the different questions to ask that the problem in this space is even if I purchase my curriculum from a Christian publishing company, it doesn't mean they actually understand what it means to teach things like math from a biblical worldview. So there's a lot of errors that happen, and I want to just address that briefly so that as we move forward, you'll see kind of what I'm saying. Error number one in most homeschool curriculums, even that call themselves Christian, is that their biblical worldview is just throwing a Bible verse or a devotion or asking a biblical worldview question at the end of the lesson. But there was absolutely no connection between the Bible and God and mankind and our purpose in life and the actual math skill. There were no connections in the actual word problems, and there was no purpose given for why we learned this skill today. That's 99% of the Christian biblical worldview math curriculum out there. The second error comes in where they very arbitrarily try to push specific scripture examples into places they don't fit or in ways it's very inauthentic. It's very contrived. So let me give you an example. What on earth am I saying? What I'm saying is things like, let's learn three-digit addition. And to make sure that we're hitting this from a biblical worldview, our three-digit addition problem is going to be, hey, let's add together the number of people Jesus fed in Matthew chapter blah, 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 and the number of people he fed in Luke chapter blah, blah, blah. Total these numbers together. That is not what a biblical worldview of math is at all. So if that's what your curriculum is doing, that's not it. What a biblical worldview looks like is we break down, as I will in the coming videos, hopefully keeping them very short, we break down why can we do this thing in math? What is it that this points us to about who God is? What character of God is this pointing us towards? Why should I learn this math? Me, personally, where I live right here in the place and time God's put me. Why do I need to know how to do this? What does it reveal to me about who mankind is, about mankind's sin, about what God has created us to do in this world? What is the purpose of learning this skill? How can I better serve my family, my community, and my God by learning this skill? That's biblical worldview math, and I have yet to find a published curriculum that actually does that consistently. So you can look at, and I'll name names, BJU and Abeka, and I'm so sorry, but I've looked at both of them in depth and they both don't do it. They both do not do it. Now they try, it's better than past attempts perhaps, but they don't do it. And so what I'll be doing in episodes to come is picking specific math topics that you may be coming into with your homeschool, you may be talking about with your children, and tell you, okay, here's the topic. I'll help guide you as you develop the skill yourself into understanding, what does this show me about God and his nature? What does this show me about mankind and our problem? And how can we use this? Why should we use this to do good in this world and in this life? So those are the kind of three overarching questions we should always be able to answer with any math concept, whether we are talking about addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, exponents, algebra, you name it, graphing, analyzing data, bar graphs, statistics. It is in everything because Scripture declares that God has put his nature into all of creation, and math is part of that. And so join me if you're interested as we come into future episodes. I'll be labeling by the specific math skills we're looking at as we look at what does a biblical worldview in specifically right now math education actually look like. And then we'll take it perhaps into some of those scarier subjects of science. You get to middle and high school and we're concerned about teaching that. How do we do that there as well? This is something we need to be doing in all areas. But I just find math is lacking in that in modern curricula, so I hope to help you fill that gap. Join me.